Hi guys, Brian here, giving my quick impressions of the D&D 5th edition Players Handbook. I got this a little while ago and have perused through it rather extensively. To start off with, I'm not a fan of this art style. Or not art style, I'm not a fan of this cover. I really like 3rd edition's simplistic, like it looked like a tome that you'd find in a player's in the setting of D&D. I rather like that and wish they had copied that. 4th edition went with a slight hybrid of the two, where you had a banner and then some art for it. So it still looked more like a book. This just looks like a piece of art that is on the cover. You know, obviously it is, but not a fan of that. I prefer I'm more subtle in my preferences. So that's what I would have preferred. Side binding has a nice little simplistic thing on it, so I like that. I do like the two-tone texture here, where this side is all glossy and shiny, and this side is matte and not. So the outside of the book, I'm not enthused with. The contents of the book, though, I'm rather pleased, except for that. Of course, I turn to the one thing that I dislike. I really hate the look of halflings in this book. They tried messing with the proportions of it to make it so you didn't have to always have something in scale to show, hey, this is a small person. I hate that. In my setting, halflings are going to be Hobbit-like and 3rd edition-like. I'm not a person who hates 4th edition. In fact, I really liked 4th edition. When 4th edition came out, I vowed to not run 3rd edition anymore. So I quite liked 4th edition. I think 5th edition here is a good hybrid of 4th edition and 3rd edition. You have the individual classes again, the ranger here, the rogue. They've really gone out of their way to show that drow are kind of a player race now, and I don't really like that, because to me, drow are always supposed to be an evil guy. Or an evil race. I understand why they do it with the popularity of Dritz and all that, but it still doesn't sit right with me. But this book has a number of different classes in it. Barbarian, Bard, Cleric, Druid, Fighter, Monk, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard. So the classes in this system are much more akin to 3rd edition, where you have like spells per day and you have to prepare your spells. But it's a little bit more lenient in that you get to choose some different spells, and a little bit more lenient. They definitely learned some lessons, like the cleric has the ability to heal as a bonus action, which is the equivalent of a minor action. Sorcerers and wizards have to repair spells, but they can do so more easily. They went back to the Vancian magic system of 3rd edition, and I don't like that system of magic. The warlock, though, looks pretty awesome as a rather 4th edition-esque character, in the fact that they get fewer known spells, but they recover them after every encounter. I like that. So, in general, for the various classes, I like what they've done with the classes. They've made some steps that I dislike, but they've also incorporated things that I like. Like the fighter somewhere in here has... Where is it? Well, you're not going to be able to read it anyway. There it is, actually. Fighter. The martial archetypes for the fighter, when you get to 3rd level, you choose a specialization, basically, for all the classes. And the fighter has a couple different things that they can do. One of the options is the Battle Master, where you become basically a warlord from 4th edition. And I love the warlord in 4th edition. The concept of a martial healer, I love it. I love the concept of a martial healer, because hit points are supposed to not be a sole representation of how much you've just got hurt. It's a representation of your will to continue on, your stamina, and stuff like that. And another, what are they called again? I already forgot. Archetype. Another archetype the fighter can have is an Eldritch Knight, which is actually my favorite archetype of a melee sword and sorcery guy with spells. So I like that. They definitely took some stuff that I like and kind of 4th editioned 3rd edition. So basically you can kind of consider this like 3.75 if you really want to. The races in here, since I kind of glossed over, typical races for a Player's Handbook. Let's see, is there a list? Nope. Oh, I can probably just go to the front page. The races are Dwarf, Elf, Halfling, Human, Dragonborn, Gnome, Half-Elf, Half-Orc, and Tiefling. I love that the Dragonborn are in the book because that's my favorite race. My very first 3rd edition character was a half-dragon. Love dragon races. That's just one of my shticks. And of course, I find it amusing that Gnome is in the Player's Handbook again because of the poop storm that 4th edition got by removing them, which I didn't have an issue with because nobody ever played a Gnome. So yeah, I'm liking the classes. I'm liking the races for the most part. One of the design philosophies of 4th edition here is that they went out of their way to make this a bare bones system that they will add modules to next. So there are some things in it that I miss, like skills and more feats, but those are supposed to be absent. So if you want to include them, you have the options later on. Now here's actually a section that I really like. It's personalities and backgrounds. They go out of their way to really make sure the player has tools to create interesting characters, including giving your character former backgrounds, like you were what are some of the example backgrounds? An acolyte to a priesthood. You could have been a charlatan, a criminal, entertainer, folk hero. A whole bunch of different backgrounds that give you various skills. They even give you recommended personality quirks and flaws and bonds that tie you to the world and the story that the DM is trying to make. Those are awesome. I love when a system incorporates rules to make deeper characters. In fact, these aren't even rules. These are just kind of suggestions and incentives. Because each, what are they called? Each background, yeah, that's what they're called, brain fart. Each background comes with skill proficiency that you get, tool proficiencies, and equipment, if you want to take the equipment. And you also get a feature, which gives you a specific, almost feat-like bonus. Like, for example, the folk hero here has rustic hospitality. Since you come from common folk, you fit in with them at ease. You can always find a place to rest or recuperate among other commoners, unless you've shown yourself to be a danger. They'll shield you from the law, or anyone else searching for you. They will not risk their lives for you. So basically, you can blend in with the crowd pretty easily and find a place to bed down for the night. That's an awesome little feature, and similar things like that abound in the backgrounds. So I love that. It's one of the things that I really love that 5th edition here did. The equipment is basically bare bones equipment, 3rd edition style equipment. There's a lot of art in this book that I rather like. This book actually looks very, very much like a 3rd edition book to me on the inside when you get down to it. So it doesn't really feel like a 4th edition book all that much, which I'm a fan of 4th edition, so I kind of miss the plethora of feats and options that I had, especially like racial feats and whatnot. So the first half of the book is character creation and all that. The second part of it is how you actually play the game. And I love the concept of advantage and disadvantage, so what advantage and disadvantage is basically you roll, when you have either of them, you roll twice, and if you had advantage, you take the higher number, and if you have disadvantage, you take the lower number. It's a really kind of like subtle and awesome way to encourage the players to do something awesome and reward them with it, or situational modifiers. I much prefer it versus the static +2 bonus that the previous editions would generally recommend, because a +2 bonus seems like nothing to me. It doesn't excite me, make me think that I have a chance of succeeding with a +2 bonus. Whoop-de-doo. Then you've also got proficiency bonuses, which are granted by your class, and that basically replaces the base attack modifier from 3rd edition, and they're all the same for the same classes, so it's kind of uniform. I'm not a huge fan of it, but the proficiency bonus is actually added to a number of things, like skill checks. When you're using, like, say, if you're using a climber's kit and trying to climb a wall and you're proficient with the climber's kit, you get to add your proficiency bonus. So I kind of like that. That's interesting. They break down the skills, of course. Here's another picture. That's actually like one of the few pictures of a halfling that I actually like. Saving throws. Saving throws are back to being 3rd edition, where it's... Actually, they are worse than 3rd edition, because now there's... Now instead of 3 saving throws, there's 6 saving throws, 1 for each stat, and that's... I kind of unnecessary, I feel. I actually really loved 4th edition's having defenses based on your stats, turning the saving throws into defenses. Loved that concept because it made much more sense to me than having just a saving throw. And I liked saving throw as a duration tracker, essentially. They give a lot of information about like how fast things can move and travel over the course of a adventure. And here's actually something. They went back to the mindset that in between adventures you spend like a month doing non-adventure stuff. That is never how I have played any game whatsoever. Every game I have played of Dungeons & Dragons or run has basically been one long continuous adventure that the adventurers go on and continue. They don't ever spend a month of downtime to recruit items. Or if they do, that's the exception, not the rule. So this game assumes that you do that you go out to a dungeon, explore it, and then you come back and rest, recuperate, and level up, basically. That's dumb and not how I have ever seen the game played, really. They take the concept of short and long rest back from 4th edition. The long rest is 8 hours, and for some reason the short rest is 1 hour, although in my house game I am ruling it as 10 minutes. And probably would go lower if I need to. Downtime, again, I already ranted on that. The combat of it is basically D&D. 3rd edition specifically, because you don't have to worry about all the different powers that you have in 4th edition. It does seem like other classes like fighters and stuff, they try to give them more to do than 3rd edition did, so that's good, but it is not nearly as robust as 4th edition, where everyone was awesome and unique. This game, 4th edition was awesome at making you feel like you were an awesome character right from the get-go. 5th edition here does not. 5th edition is more simulation than 4th edition was. They don't have subdual damage. In fact, they don't even have negative hit points anymore. Like, once you get to 0, you're unconscious and dying. And if you get to, like... It's weird. I'm not a fan of the dying system so far. And then, of course, part 3 of the book, the last part of the book, is magic. And you got the description of all the spells. Now, they introduced the concept of a concentration spell in this book, in this edition. And a concentration spell is a powerful effect like Bless spell would be a concentration spell. And you can only have that up as long as you continue concentrating on it. And you can only have 1 concentration spell available at a time. And I'm not sure how I feel about it yet, because it seems like it's kind of limiting how many spells you'll be able to cast. Not all spells are concentration spells, just some of the bigger ones. But there's actually quite a big list of spells for the various classes. Sorcerers got a whole bunch. They did go with the 4th edition thing where cantrips, level 0 spells, can be cast at will as many times as you want. So that's awesome. I no longer have to make a wizard who doubles as a crossbowman. I hated doing that so much. But tons of awesome spells with a number of art for them. I say as I get to a section with no art. But it seems pretty... it does seem like they took good things from 3rd edition, added some good things from 4th edition to make this edition. And that's basically the end of this book, is just a whole bunch of spell descriptions. And at the end here, you get to... Nope, that's still spells. At the end here, you get the list of conditions and descriptions? No. Depictions is the word I'm looking for. Depictions of what the various states are. Like, blinded and charmed. And I actually kind of dig this art. I think I would have liked more of this style of art in the entire book. They then go large into the gods and the multiverse, which I find strange for the Player's Handbook, because it seems like more like a DM thing. Well, I suppose if you have a cleric, you need to know what deities you worship. But they list a whole bunch of deities from different settings, like Forgotten Realms deities, Greyhawk deities, Dragonlance deities, Avalon, and non-human deities, which I'm guessing are probably going to be from Forgotten Realms mostly, I'm guessing. And then they also give you actual historical deities, like the Celtic Pantheon, Greek, Norse, Egyptian. So it's cool to get some representations of other religions from the past. And it is actually, having this breakdown of the gods is actually going to make me go back for my own setting and revisit the gods that I have and see, and tweak my gods, just because I have now a list of deities in their domains, really. So it's a good reference for me as a DM to take a look at the various deities. And then they have the various planes. Now, they've kind of gone back to the Great Wheel mythos, where every single alignment has its own plane. By the way, they're back to 9 alignments, which was dumb to get rid of from 4th edition. They're back to the each alignment having its own plane. I don't really like that, because I don't like alignment being something strict, and like I don't really ever pay attention to alignments all that much, so having each individual plane be an alignment doesn't really get my motor going. But I do like the concept of the various planes, and I read through this and am tweaking my ideas for my own setting, but they're still in the air. And then the last section is various creatures, which hopefully are intended for more summoning spells and the like, for some reason. But that is the last section of it. And of course, you have an appendix. Actually, the Appendix E is inspirational readings, which apparently is something from the previous editions that I don't know if they ever did in 3rd or 4th edition, but I believe they did in AD&D. And just a whole bunch of list of various fantasy novels that you can read. And I'm like, that's actually kind of a cool thing. And of course you got the index, which is always awful. And of course the character sheet. But I always go online and print one of these off rather than like rip this out or photocopy this. Now, the dumb thing I think they did with this system is they decided to release one of these books every month. Granted, in practice, that hasn't been too bad for me, because I actually haven't been able to get my game group together well enough to run as often as I would need to, but as of this recording, the Monster Manual's out and the DMG is not, so I'm still having to ad hoc some things because I don't have all the tools necessary, and that's kind of dumb to me. But overall, I'm liking 5th edition. It's taken some good things, and it's taken some things that I can easily house rule. And I'm enjoying it so far. I haven't had as much experience with it as I would like. Haven't had a game run as long as like 4th edition or 3rd edition has. But overall, I'm liking where this is going. And the fact that the developers, that Wizard of the Coast has been so open about the development of this, and had a whole lot of communication with the fans, I think is a fantastic idea. Now, back when it was first announced, they were intending to do this and have this open beta and feedback, and I was hopeful that it was going to be good, but dreading that they were going to have too many cooks in the kitchen, basically. And here, as I'm waxing, I'll just start turning pages. And so I was concerned very much about having too much input and trying to please everyone and end up pleasing no one. That luckily did not happen. This edition is very, very solid, I think. So it's turned out well, and I look forward to seeing some of the first module books that they're going to do. They haven't actually announced anything that I'm aware of as of this recording, but I'm looking forward to the they designed the system with a modular approach so that the DM could pick and choose what types of things he includes in the game. And I'm looking forward to some of those rules, because I want to see what type of skills and what type of feats and what other options they can come up with. Gnomes look stupid too. But, so that's basically my opinion on the Players Handbook and 5th edition in general. If you guys have any comments, I'd love to hear. What do you guys think of the new edition? What do you think of the art style? What do you think of the previous editions? Try to be respectful, but I can understand tempers run hot with when it comes to D&D for some reason. My philosophy is always let people enjoy what they enjoy, and enjoy what you enjoy. And I am enjoying 5th edition. So, that wraps up this video. I'll see you guys next time.